At 30,000 feet above the Atlantic, inside a private Gulfstream jet, Eleanor Grant, wife of billionaire Richard Grant, suddenly gasped for air. Her eyes widened, her fingers trembled as she clutched her throat. 1 second, she was smiling, the next, she was collapsing into her seat, her diamond bracelet clinking against the glass of champagne she'd never get to finish. The flight attendant screamed, "Mrs. Grant. Are you okay?" Richard spun around from his laptop, his face pale. "Eleanor? Somebody help her." And in that frozen, terrifying moment, no one realized the person who would save her life wasn't even supposed to be there. Music pause, narrator lowers voice. He was just a teenage janitor, on his first ever flight, mopping the aisle of the jet before takeoff, a boy who'd been allowed on board as a favor, sweeping crumbs and cleaning luxury seats he could never afford to sit in. His name was Eli Turner, 17, from Detroit. He had no money. No fame. No family left, just dreams and determination. And yet, that night, fate was about to hand him a choice that would change his life, and expose a truth the world wasn't ready to hear. Movie camera. Before we dive deeper into this unbelievable story, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles, where real stories of courage, kindness, and redemption come alive. Music swells again. The flight that changed everything. It all began in a Detroit airport hangar that afternoon. Richard Grant, a tech billionaire known for his charm, influence, and endless headlines, was flying to Switzerland for a conference. His wife, Eleanor, elegant in her 40s, joined him, her sapphire earrings glinting in the sunlight. Eli was finishing his shift with Clearsky Cleaning Services, wiping down the private jet's floor before the flight crew arrived. He'd been assigned this job last minute after his coworker called in sick. He wasn't supposed to be noticed. Just clean and leave. But life had other plans. As he cleaned near the cabin, Eleanor entered early. She noticed the boy, skinny, in a cheap blue uniform, nervous but polite. "You work hard for someone so young," she said kindly, watching him scrub the carpet stains no one else would see. Eli smiled shyly. "Just trying to earn enough to start nursing school someday, ma'am." Something about his sincerity touched her. Eleanor had grown tired of the fake smiles around wealth, the people who flattered her husband but ignored her humanity. But Eli? He didn't know who she was. And he didn't care. Before boarding, she slipped a $100 bill into his pocket, whispering, "Dream big, young man. You never know who's watching." Eli was speechless. He never imagined those would be the last gentle words she'd speak before her collapse. Panic at 30,000 feet. 2 hours later, as the jet cruised smoothly through bright blue skies, Eleanor laughed at something on her tablet, then suddenly clutched her chest. Her body stiffened. Her lips turned blue. The flight attendant screamed. Richard froze, his hands shaking. "Call for help," he shouted. But there was no doctor on board. No medical crew. Just panic. And then, through the chaos, Eli's voice echoed from the back cabin. He'd been resting after finishing his cleaning tasks, allowed to fly along to New York before disembarking. "I know CPR," he yelled, running forward. Everyone stared, the teenage janitor, trembling, facing a billionaire's wife who was losing consciousness by the second. The flight attendant hesitated. You're just a janitor." But Eli didn't wait for permission. He dropped to his knees beside Eleanor, checked her pulse, and began compressions exactly like he'd been taught in high school. "Come on, ma'am," he whispered, "breathe. 1, 2, 3, he counted rhythmically, sweat dripping down his forehead. "Breathe." Her pulse flickered faintly. Then, stopped. Richard's voice cracked. She's gone." Eli shook his head fiercely. "No, she isn't." He tilted her head, sealed his lips to hers, and gave 2 breaths. Then pressed again, harder, faster, desperate. seconds felt like hours. The cabin was silent except for Eli's strained breaths and the beeping of the emergency alarm. And then, a faint cough. Eleanor gasped, choking, then started breathing. Richard fell to his knees, eyes wet. "Oh my God, you saved her." Eli sat back, panting. His hands were shaking, but his eyes glowed with something deeper, relief. Eleanor's fingers reached for his. She managed to whisper, "Thank you, Eli." A billionaire's promise. After an emergency landing in Boston, Eleanor was rushed to a hospital. The doctors said it had been a severe allergic reaction, one more minute and she'd have died. Reporters swarmed the hospital entrance, hearing rumors that a teen janitor had saved a billionaire's wife mid-air. But Richard Grant didn't say a word publicly. Instead, he quietly told Eli, "I'll take care of you, son. You've done more than most trained doctors could." He handed him a business card with his private number and said, "Call me tomorrow. I'll make sure your dreams don't die in a mop bucket." Eli was overwhelmed. For the first time, someone powerful saw him, not as invisible help, but as a hero. But he didn't know that behind Richard's promise was a secret. A dark one. Because while Eleanor recovered, strange things started happening. The media reports disappeared overnight. No footage of the flight ever surfaced. The airline denied the incident. And when Eli tried to call the number Richard gave him, it was disconnected. The silence that followed. Weeks passed. Eli went back to scrubbing airport floors, thinking maybe the billionaire had just forgotten. Until one evening, as he finished mopping near gate 32, a woman approached him, sunglasses, scarf, trembling voice. "Eli Turner?" He turned, confused. "Yes, do I know you?" She lifted her glasses. It was Eleanor Grant. Pale, thinner, but alive. "Please," she whispered, "not here. They're watching." Eli froze. "Who's watching?" She pressed an envelope into his hand. "What you did on that flight, it saved my life. But it also exposed something Richard didn't want the world to know." "What do you mean?" Her eyes filled with tears. "The reason I collapsed, it wasn't just an allergy. I was poisoned." Eli's heart stopped. "Poisoned? By who?" She swallowed hard. "By someone on that plane. Someone I trusted." Before he could respond, a black SUV screeched to a stop near them. Two men in suits jumped out. Eleanor whispered, "Run, Eli. Don't trust anyone, especially him." Then they grabbed her, ushered her away, and she was gone. Eli stood frozen, clutching the envelope, his hands trembling. Inside, there was only one thing. A USB drive. And a note in Eleanor's handwriting. "If something happens to me again, this will tell you why." The airport lights flickered as he stared at it, realizing he was now part of something much, much bigger than a medical emergency. Something that started at 30,000 feet, and might not end until the truth came out. Cinematic music swells and fades out. Movie camera. If you're hooked by Eli's story and want to know what shocking truth this USB contains, don't miss Chapter 2, where secrets are exposed, loyalties are tested, and kindness turns into courage. And before you go, hit the like button and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles, because the next part will leave you speechless.